And welcome back. Hello, it's me, your pal from the internet, Todd. We are here again for runZero Day. Don't worry, we'll be here all day. And I am joined by my friend, Jerry Gamblin, right over here from RogoLabs. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, it's nice to meet you.
Meet?
It's nice to see you again from breakfast.
Yes.
So before we get started, I have my ADHD is kicking in, and I have to say that B-Sides Perth
Thank you.
is the largest B-Sides in the world with 3,600 attendees.
This is shocking to me.
I think I'm going to try.
Perth is very far away from everything.
Try to go. Yep.
Okay.
I think half the reason is because it is far away from everything, and their tickets are only 100 Australian dollars.
What?
Dollar bucks, I think I'm supposed to say, according to Bluey.
Okay.
Yep.
That is, hey, so I've already learned something. This whole thing is now worth it, right? So, to edit the last segment, number 1, Perth, number 2, Vegas, number 3, San Francisco.
Yep.
And that is why San Francisco is third. Incredible. But we're not here to talk about B-side statistics. We're talking about other statistics, I think, and that is issues of CVE quality. I believe the title is a CVE Quagmire, quality versus quantity. You, Jerry, have done so much amazing work in this space, and I use CVE.icu all the time. I used it just the other day with the graph of like who's the most prolific CNA. But tell me about CVE.icu. And then we'll get into like why you do it and why you're such a weirdo about this stuff.
CVE.icu is just a data aggregator of all the data in the CVE program. How many are published today? Who's using what CVSS score? When are they getting applied? Who's the leading CNA? What EPSS scores are showing up where? Are people filling in CWEs and CPEs? Are they putting in the CWEs that they're supposed to? Or are they using non-regular CWEs, right? So it's really part counting, part data correlation, part data monitoring tool. And
you have tons of graphs on there.
Yeah, tons of graphs. It's not all vibe coded. It started out.
It's not all vibe coded.
It's not all vibe coded. It started out in the day just being Jupyter notebooks that I would run personally to pull all this data. And then I'm like, let's just throw these on a website. And then it was a Jupyter book. And then Claude 4.2 came out, and it was easy to say, hey, turn this into a professional-looking website and make it awesome. And and I did it in, a weekend for $37 worth of tokens. So it was worth it because I'm not a developer, and I'd always thought about going to a web developer to get it updated. But I lean heavily into AI when I can. Right? I'm not scared of it.
You're not scared of it. Okay.
Not scared of AI.
We will have plenty of opportunity to talk about AI throughout the day. I'm happy to talk to you about it as well. One of the things that came up, so we had a panel yesterday. Not we had a panel. Unfortunately, you were not on it.
Can't be on everything.
Yeah, exactly. There was a CVE panel yesterday, and the topic of AI comes up, right? We are currently dealing with like the tsunami of new CVE reports, even before like the kind of stats that you're gathering on the outputs, right? The funnel has gotten incredibly wide. And the outputs have come up, but like, the graphs, boy, it'd be cool if we had like, anyway, the graphs look like this, right? Like funnel comes up here and then the output is coming up. Both are up and to the right. And how we do this, like, I don't know how we do it, right? Because like the CVE program has intentionally is very like a human checks, right? For everything. You remember the days where we had cans, right? CVE candidates. And so like, and there was a meeting like once a week, and it's like, hey, here are the 20 new vulnerabilities this week. Those days are long gone.
163 a day as of today, right? Like,
as of today, okay. That sounds like a lot.
But it's not a ton. And I always push back when people start talking about an AI tsunami or an AI wave, right? Like, so my early career was spent around the bug bounty industry, and what was different about that and AI is much better at actually finding issues that are real. They might be low, but if you were on a bug bounty program on either side of it, you would just get pure cutouts from whatever the tool of the day was, right? With no verification. that said, hey, I ran this cross-site scripting scanner against your site, and it said, here are all your vulnerabilities. Give me $50, right? Like, with nobody checking. I would say that AI is better at checking vulnerabilities and putting in real vulnerabilities.
Right.
I do not really see the AI slop that people talk about, right? I think we were here yesterday and we were talking about it. I think that we kind of think human slop never existed, right? Like everybody on the floor talking about how we can fix your AI slop in your AppSec. I'm like, are you guys the same people who didn't fix the human slop for the last 30 years, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yesterday we were talking with Carolyn Wong, who wrote the AI security handbook, and yeah, you had brought up that it's like, hey, like we're real good at writing our own bugs. We don't really like. Why are we so hard on machines when the machines write the same bugs we write?
Yep.
And it's an interesting point. I've been thinking about that, and I do think that like part of it is the relationship we have with machines and computers and computer generated code, right? Like we have this like much higher expectation of perfection, right? Like for these things, right? It's very much like I would be very angry at a robot that was a bad mechanic.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because it's human nature, it's our morality, right? Like, it's okay to be mad at Claude 4.6 for doing something stupid.
Yes, because it has no feelings.
It's a little harder to be mad at Jerry, who you want to go to lunch with afterwards, right? Because he did something wrong or slow or whatever, right?
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
That Jerry guy.
Yeah. No good anywhere,
So we're in this zone, right, where 163 a day, which is a lot for CVE.
Yep.
But it's not a lot for like a general data feed, right?
Under 400,000 still records total, right? Yep. Tiny data compared to everything else, right?
So are the people who are like clutching their pearls about CVE, are they just being big babies about it, or is there something else going on in there?
I think that it's used as a scare tactic to sell more software, to be honest. Like, oh no, 163, right? Like,
right.
You just say, okay, can you tell me how many of those were WordPress? And they're going to tell you, if they're being honest, they're going to say 90, right?
Right.
All right, so 90. Okay. Can you tell me how many of those were from one of the big five? Microsoft, Cisco, Palo Alto, Oracle, Apple, right? Like, if you just look at those, like if you just kind of take out FANG vulnerabilities, you get down to about 4 a day, right? Which isn't terrible for...
Well, where does Linux kernel live in there, right?
Yeah, so the Linux kernel is different, and we can jump into that. They have some thoughts on...
We can put a pin in that one.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that one. I don't count the Linux kernel because they don't provide any data that allows easy mapping back to an operating system that is running today.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. And that's
by design.
By their design, which might be a misuse of the CVE program, but that's for a deeper dive we could get into, and I'd love to chat about.
Okay. So if we're looking at FANG, giant tech company style, 4-ish a day in general. Microsoft and Oracle, of course, are lumped up into one day.
Yeah.
Oracle has their schedule of every 3 months. They will release hundreds and hundreds.
Yep.
Microsoft has their schedule of once a month. They will release often about 100, I think.
Yeah, that's
Are they
about
still
right.
hitting it?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't counted lately, but I see the graph. So.
And then you get a ZDI dump every 6 months that is about 100, 150.
Right. And those are all... ZDI doesn't produce... Like, ZDI doesn't bother with bugs that are, no targets or, low bar software, basically.
Exactly.
So it's it tends to be good software.
I definitely watch those releases,
ZDI is a great place to watch. Keep an eye out, vulnerability people. Keep an eye out, vulnerability people. I'm getting used to my multi-cameras. We never do this in runZero hour. This is so much nicer.
Yes, it is.
Julie, can we do this every month for runZero? I'm getting a thumbs up. Every month we're going to have an incredibly expensive production crew.
They'll just come to my house. We can just sit up in the garage.
2 remotes, it'll be great.
Try not to have,
So with the Linux kernel, there was a little bit of a mail thread somewhat recently. Shall we recap?
It started on the board. It it started out, right? Linux was like, we don't want CVSS scores on our CVEs.
That's right.
Please stop doing that.
They opened a bug on vulnrichment.
Yeah.
And vulnrichment is near and dear to my heart because it was one of the open source things I did when I was at CISA. Was I helped launch that thing. And the whole idea with vulnrichment was, okay, we really want vendors of software, researchers who are publishing CVEs to provide CWE metrics, CVSS metrics. These are common weaknesses in enumerations, common vulnerability scoring systems stuff, and let's say CPE. We can get into that a little bit later. And so we really want people to do that. Like, and I think you would agree, right?
Yes,
like
for sure.
We want people to do that. And in the case that they don't, CISA, the vulnerability management team there, will swoop in and say, like, okay, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it for you, which is like a charitable thing to do, I would think. It's not as good as when it comes from the vendor, it comes from the researcher, right? Yeah. But it is fine. It is fine. And so Linux came in, and somebody from the Linux kernel came in. The body of Linux came in. Linus Torvalds came in. No, it
told us directly.
Yeah, it wasn't Linus. The Linux kernel, somebody from the Linux kernel CVE team came in and said, like, hey, can you knock this off?
Yeah.
Why did they say that? Or, you know what, we don't have to, like, put words in their mouth, but, like,
I mean, it's on there.
What's the argument,
go read
right?
that. There is that their vulnerabilities are overarching vulnerabilities in the kernel code itself and do not apply directly to end user or deployed solutions, which is great. But if you read it by the letter of the law, they just talk themselves out of being able to publish CVEs correctly, right? Because it's not on a product. If you say that this isn't on a product, but it's on something nebulous, a level above a product, it doesn't get a CVE. Because the alternative option is, I started talking about this, is that then you need sub-CVEs, right? Like, if you're telling me that this kernel bug is in my router, my thermostat, I need to tell people what the CVSS score is for that. I need a way to let them know. I need to cut a brand new CVE ID for this so that they can match it to the stuff running on their network.
And so why the double duty?
Why the double duty? I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's a good thing, but like, I don't think runZero, I don't think any other scanner is pinning those Linux kernel CVEs now directly to deployed software.
No, we have, and yes, you're right. Thank you for mentioning the name of the company, which I think is the first time now on runZero, other than runZero Day, that anyone has said runZero. Yep. Thank you. We have generally no mechanism. Every once in a while, we'll have a trick or something. We can say that it's like a particular Linux kernel.
Yep.
But when you're doing like a remote scan without auth, without any agent, like it's very difficult to pin it down, dial it in that hard, right? To the level of a CVE, to the level of CVEs that the Linux kernel itself is producing, right?
Yep.
I'll push back a little bit, but I like where you're going with this, right? Where are you saying that because the Linux kernel is so ephemeral, you can't reasonably describe any vulnerability in it?
No,
because it's one of a million, right?
Yeah.
Of components.
I think they're describing a vulnerability in the core software, but then the Linux kernel is so open. People ship it, they rip stuff out, they slim it down. So there's no way to say just because this kernel vulnerability exists in the master branch that it's what I shipped on my IoT device that I had to strip down to make it fit under the in the memory, running memory. I really just think it's how do people, at the end of the day, a vulnerability is no good unless I can take the CVE ID and literally point to something and say, that's what's running it. I need to fix it on that. And I know sometimes that is in a cloud that I've never seen in a data center. But if you're just saying, hey, this is a CVE ID and it's for a vulnerability, but we're not going to tell you it's running on anything, then it's really not an actionable insight for anyone.
Isn't that like the purpose of CVE, right? I'm able to say like, oh, I have this bug in the Linux kernel, and I can point to it, I can point to a diff, I can point to a patch, I can point to all this stuff. I can describe it, and I do like how Linux kernel describes their CVEs. every time I hear a complaint that's like, oh, they're producing too much, like I go look at whatever the latest one is, and like, yep, still looks like a security bug. But are you saying that because we lack that context, right? Yep. On something as atomic as the Linux kernel, which itself is like zillions of lines of code. I don't know how many lines of code it actually is. That it becomes an almost a meaningless. Is it meaning? Are CVEs themselves meaningless?
No, CVEs themselves aren't meaningless. I think that, and
on the Linux kernel,
I think that they're an interesting database of flaws in the Linux kernel. I don't. And just reading what they wrote in that PR about not getting CVSS and CWEs, they actually set themselves to a level above what a normal CVE is, right?
They do, right?
Yeah.
And so and that's the part that like is interesting to me, because I don't think CVSS, Common Volume Scoring System, is particularly useful for not just the Linux kernel, but like a device driver, a shared library code, an XML parser, a Perl interpreter. Like I think these are classes of software that CVSS is not built for. And I know the CVSS people are gonna at me, and that's fine. We can talk about that.
I think that they would agree, right?
Really?
Because you can't. Because if you just say this is an inferior bug, right? Like they're gonna have a hard time. Like if you say I don't know where this is running, you can't put if it's a network bug or a local bug or how the access works, right? Like I think it's hard. Like I think that Art and those guys did a good job of trying to put CVSS scores on there. I just don't think that. I agree with them that they don't fit. I agree that we have to come up with another method. And I think the two ways are you either start cutting what I call sub-CVEs off of those CVEs, which are against CNA rules, right? You can't do that because you can't have more than one CVE for...
Yeah. So a component that has a CVE is included in foo software. Foo software does not get its own CVE because of that.
Yeah,
right?
Or Log4j would have had
millions.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the way they've kind of positioned their thinking in that, is that this isn't on software, right? Like it has to be there. So the other thing is when we get into is the ADP, supplier ADP. Is what was pushed back on that thread was, this is what supplier ADP is for, and then that gets into a whole different thing, because then you're in a live metadata situation, right? Like, if you take one CVE for a Linux kernel and then you expect everybody who runs that to come back and have write access to that record in their own ADP container.
ADP is authorized data publisher? Or
publisher, producer, provider. I did not make up the. Sorry, it's one of those. Say in the TLA, don't know what it means.
Right.
You called me out on it. You went. Yep.
Not my intent.
No, that's
Jerry.
perfect. I have there's an executive at my day job who does the same thing, right? Like, if you just start.
I think it's publisher. I think it's because of the rightness, like the right ability of it. And speaking of things like ADP, so we've gotten real in the weeds.
Yes.
Delighted to do so. I think our normal runZero Hour audience is also delighted about this. We should talk a little bit about the Schema 6.0.
Yeah.
Because like I think SADP is maybe in, maybe out on that. I don't know. Is there a connection there yet?
We haven't really started working about it, but can we please call it Sad Panda for?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? So the new Schema, you're involved in this for.
I'm trying to be
for writing CVE records.
Yep.
Right. We're currently on what 5.1? I want to say
5.2.
5.2.
Yeah. Don't hold me to that, but I think it's 5.
5.x.
Yeah.
Fine. So if you're going to call it Schema 6.0, this implies hard-breaking changes.
Yes.
What's something that people can keep an eye out for in the new Schema?
I mean, it's going to be a large internal discussion.
Yeah.
I don't want to say fight because that's probably
it's not a fight.
The wrong word.
It's an academic fight.
But 6.0 is either going to be a change to the quality error where you can't publish bad records.
Okay.
Like
make it impossible?
Make it impossible.
Whoa!
Yeah. I mean, really tighten up the rules.
Like have a real linter?
Have a real linter. Do stuff that people will hate. Mm-hmm. You have to have a CWE for every every CVE you put out might need a CVSS, right? You must have a machine-readable ID, right, of some sort. Perl, CPE. I don't.
Those are the only two I know of.
Yeah. I mean, there are others, but like, I think that the big fight, and what I probably will spend the next year is talking to them about, hey, if we're going to do a hard break here, we need to really break this. And this brings us to our next point.
Well, and it's the opportunity, right?
Yeah. It's the opportunity to really lean in. And Jay Jacobs, your next guest, and I have a talk coming up at VolnCon called CVE Decaf, and it's about data quality and records and about machine readability. You should talk to him about it when you get him on. He has all the background of how somebody said,
"Oh, I will,"
about how this data is useful to a machine or not. And sadly, the current CVE schema isn't useful to a machine in very many details.
It is, and you're right, and also it's sometimes not useful to humans.
Yep. We have the best of both worlds.
We keep the worst of both worlds, I think. CVE is definitely a flawed system. We covered this yesterday too on our panel at RSA. Very much like democracy, it's terrible except for all the others. I do believe that to be true.
I believe that to be true too, and like there's a line in the CVE debates, and there's this line side of people that CVEs are terrible and they can never be fixed. Right. I try to really stay on the lines. Hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not going to tell you that everything's fine, but I think that we can get to the point where we can fix it and make it better.
Yeah.
And I think that the quality error that the CVE program is talking about is a good start. And
this came from the CISA vision paper, I think we just call it internally, right? But it is the era of quality, which always strikes me funny. It's like, cool, so 26 years.
Yep.
And now we're going to be good at it.
I think that's just because for the longest time they were just trying to grow it, right? Like they were trying to get CNAs. Like
there was a hard push for growth, and for reasons, right?
Yeah.
Like because we didn't want CVE to just be like the Fang Club, right, or OFang Club.
Yep.
I do think that there's value in democratizing, the issuing of CVEs. Now the Circle people, they go real hard. I would say even populist in the democratization of CVEs.
And I love Circle.
And I like them too.
And
they're always
for
fun.
anybody who doesn't know, that's the Luxembourg cert.
Yes.
It's circle.lu. It's a great website. I think that I'm prolific in putting out open source tools. Like, I can't keep up with them. They have a new one every other day, and there's only like 4 of them, so they are great. But yeah, they worry me in a bit is that I think that they're getting ready to take GCVE and kind of make it its own thing and not have it connected directly to the CVE program.
And to be clear, like today, if you want to publish a GCVE, the global CVE, it is a wrapper around a normal CVE record with it's a sparkling CVE record.
It's a sparkling, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So cool. Hey, is there anything, as we have about a minute and a half or so to go, is there anything we have not talked about that you want to tell the world?
I mean, like, we should really jump into machine ID and why it's so important, and why tools like runZero here that I do really like needs that data to be able to do better fingerprinting, right? Like, runZero is great because it goes out and finds the stuff on your network and tells you what vulnerabilities have. It could be way better if we could get every software vendor and hardware vendor who push out CVE to give us a way to identify that data. I don't think that they're not putting in the data because they're trying to hide what's on the network. I think it's just because it's hard, and it's one of those things is nobody's going to tell you did it right, but everybody is going to tell you did it wrong, and the CPE program is still...
It is so attractive to tell people how wrong they are on the internet.
and from my understanding, as of when I've read a couple weeks ago, CPE program by NVD is still frozen.
Oh, yeah.
They've made no changes on that, so there's no updates to that. Perl is still only on like 2% of all new CVEs this year, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's Perl with a U, not Perl with an E, or Perl with an EA.
So we are getting kind of stuck with very little machine-readable data that's coming in there that everybody needs in the security industry. So
naming stuff is hard.
It is.
And I'm with you. Like, I don't think people are like avoiding these machine IDs specifically for obfuscation reasons. But we do have like this kind of predilection especially in security, of like, don't give away information, like as a baseline. And I do think that informs the problems we have with having like machine identifiable software, right? It's like if we come at it from a culture of, I'm going to keep all my information secret. You remember, like, we used to have a whole period in cybersecurity where like just having the banner of your web server
was a vulnerability.
Was in fact a vulnerability. So anyway, we're out of time, but thank you so much. Come back after the break. We'll be with Jay Jacobs. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thank you.
Always
so
a pleasure.
much.
All right, later.